Beyond the Bell, Exploring Education in the Bangor School Department, a Bangor School Department podcast.
Welcome to our new podcast, Beyond the Bell, Exploring Education in the Bangor School Department. I'm Dr. Marie Robinson, Superintendent of Bangor Schools and one of your hosts. Today, we are diving into an important topic, the Belonging Campaign.
I'm Sarah Luciano, Chair of the Bangor School Committee and your other host. On the show today, we have some incredible guests who will share their insight on fostering a sense of belonging within our schools and community.
Absolutely, Sarah. The Belonging Campaign is all about creating an inclusive environment where every student, staff member, and family feels valued and connected. Let's welcome our guests.
Joining us today is Dr. Jordan Fearon, our school psychologist, and Ray Phinney, our Director of Community Outreach. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's ask Dr. Fearon to go ahead and tell us a little bit about herself.
Hi, I'm Dr. Fearon. I'm the school psychologist for the whole district of Bangor. I work from K through the high school, serving our students in a variety of different roles.
Thank you. And Director Phinney.
I work for the Bangor School Department. I've been working here for now, this is my 6th year. I've had a multitude of roles, but as the communications director or the director of community outreach, I work very closely with schools to talk about the positive stories that are going on within our schools. It's one of the highlights of my day to go into schools and see all the wonderful things that are happening and sharing it with the community.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, we're going to get started with some questions. Dr. Fearon, can you explain what belonging means in the context of a school environment?
So belonging is vital to the success of our students. It refers to the degree to which students feel accepted, respected, supported, and included by their peers, by the teachers, by the staff, by the entire school community. It includes both the bigger systems, our school policy, the disciplinary measures that we use, as well as more person-specific factors and how students feel when they enter the school every morning.
Great, thank you.
Could you maybe explain a little bit about why that's important?
So to be available for learning, students need to feel safe and regulated and included. They need to have that connection in order to be ready to do all of the hard things that we are asking them to do every single day. Belonging and connectedness in general has been associated with a host of different measures. Some of them are more about academic performance. It's about absenteeism and college acceptance and graduation rates, but it's also about well-being. It's about, do they have good self-esteem? Do they feel like they belong? Do they know that they are okay to be who they are?
Thank you.
That's great. What are some common barriers that students face in feeling that sense of belonging?
I think the challenges are the same that we are facing everywhere. There's not enough time. There's not enough resources. There's too many demands. We all are feeling scattered and overwhelmed, and it's hard to take time to be present and feel the importance of those relationships when we have so many things that are coming at us. I think that loneliness is a problem throughout our country, and this is part of that. We don't have a sense of community anywhere, and that's showing up in our schools sometimes.
That's a great point. I think the loneliness piece is really important to recognize, and I like what you said about being present. That is just so important.
All right. And how can educators and staff help students overcome these barriers?
I think that some students naturally create this sense of connection for themselves. They might be involved in a sport that has a lot of structure and means they're involved in a lot of school activities, or their personality is such that they build those relationships themselves. But for other students, we need to be explicit in how we are fostering those relationships, because without our intention, it's not going to happen for these kids. I think there is a bunch of things that we are trying to do and we're starting to do and that we already have been doing successfully. And all of those things can align to work on this school climate that we've created. I think one thing is about how do we disseminate information? How are we sharing what we need to be sharing with parents? We need to do that across a multiple formats. We need to use email, and we need to send letters home, and we need to use social media. The videos, if someone maybe doesn't want to read the page of information, maybe they'll watch the video. How are we making sure parents understand what they need for their student to be successful? I was at a meeting and we talked about, do parents know how to use PowerSchool? And maybe they don't know how to use PowerSchool. And that's relevant. If parents can't support their student, then we haven't made this community for them to be successful in. So I think it's about how do we include families and parents. How do we time our after-school activities and our night events, right? You used to be able to be in as part of the school more, and now that's limited. And so how are we looking at that to create a community around these kids? I think that we need to make sure that our curriculum is culturally inclusive and responsive to what's going on. We need to have space for kids to be able to share their backgrounds and feel safe to share their backgrounds. We need to be intentional in sort of those choices we're making, both from a curriculum standpoint, but from a teacher standpoint. I think that there's a lot of work that's been happening in terms of the relationship that staff and teachers have with students, right? It's how administrators are present in the morning so students know who their principals are. It's how do we make sure that students know the school counselors and know the social workers, so if they do need help, they have people that they can reach out to who feel comfortable and someone that they know how they might do that. I think that having sort of those peer relationships is key. My own 7-year-old, when I was talking about doing this, he said, it's friends. You have to make sure you have friends. And I think that's really true, right? I can't make kids have friends, right? I can't engineer friendships. But we can explicitly teach the things we need to build strong friendships, right? So we have the Second Step program is the SEL curriculum that we use. And so in the elementary schools, we are working on building those skills. How do we problem solve? How do we have cognitive flexibility? How do we teach kids how to have that back and forth, to have strong relationships, so that as they get older, they've built those relationships? How do we have groups and clubs where kids can have connections about shared interests? How do we have time for those things so kids know who their people are and they have time to build those relationships? Extracurricular activities, right? Are those inclusive? Are there reasons why our students can't participate? Is it about time? Is it about we need late bus coverage in a different way? Is it about that the costs are prohibitive to some families? Is it that families don't even know that these things exist so that they're not accessing them? And those can all be barriers in terms of how connected students feel to their school. If they don't know this is offered to them, then they don't feel part of it. And so it's about how do we make sure that kids can ask for what they need and know that they can always get the help that they're asking for, that they trust us as adults to be those people in their lives. And that shapes the climate. It shapes the climate of our schools. And I think we, as a district, have to be thoughtful in the way we approach that and how we measure that. It's important how we look at if we're doing a good job on these measures. And so one of the ways we can do that is through our school climate surveys, where parents and students have the opportunity to really share, how are we doing as a school? How can we better serve them? And what are the pieces that we're not realizing that we're not hitting at this point?
Dr. Fearon, I think you made some really great points. Two key pieces that stood out for me were about the explicit instruction around friendship. Sometimes we, and I would say even myself as a parent, when my children were younger, we sometimes assume that kids know how to do that, and that might not be the case. So thank you for bringing that up. And then also, in terms of the surveys, I think that's really important. Getting feedback from our families, really understanding how they feel is definitely something I'm very interested in, to make sure that everyone is feeling that sense of belonging.
Absolutely. We have to give them the chance to let us know where we need to do better and where we're succeeding.
I do think it's wonderful. We're also adding a component of checking our work, by gathering the data in the surveys. We can say we're making improvements all we want, but if we're not actually verifying that, we haven't actually done anything. So I really love the extra piece of checking to see how we're doing and then being able to check again later to see if we improved.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fearon.
Thank you.
A few questions for our Director of Community Outreach. Ray, can you talk a little bit about how community outreach plays a role in promoting belonging among
Absolutely.
students?
For me, community outreach plays a role in belonging when students can see themselves in the image of the school. The image of the school is our branding, it's our message, it is our promotions that we do through social media and through our website. When students see themselves reflected in what we're excited and what we're proud about, they also show that inner pride for themselves. There's so many times where I go into a school and they see me and they know that I'm going to be taking pictures that day. Number one, they ask if they're going to be YouTube famous. Second of all, they get excited to see themselves in pictures online because their family sees them. It's that communication that I did something important at school today and my family gets to see it and they get to recognize it as well. And it enhances that sense of belonging. It enhances that sense of community. And it shows that our students are important to us. It shows them that we care about what happens outside the school, inside the school, and just really reflects what we're doing.
I think that's great. Thank you so much.
Can you discuss any community initiatives that have been particularly successful in fostering a sense of belonging?
When I first started as a communications director 5 years ago, my goal was to really increase the amount of communication that went out and to look at different platforms that families were using. When I first started, we had our website and we had a Twitter account. We quickly added Facebook and Instagram to that. Over the past couple of years, we've also increased the communication we've done through our website by switching vendors. The Bangor app is now a duplicate, really, of our website. People can find forums and information. The ability to share news stories and to get that information out is so much easier now than it was before, which means that something happens in the morning and by half an hour later, people are aware of what happened. There's pictures, that story is shared. And being able to be responsive to what's going on in our schools, not posting things days later, helps with making sure that people are aware. Our teachers are able to send things out and messages out very quickly. I want to be able to do it as quick as a teacher could in their classroom. So that has been part of that. I think other than that, it's making sure that we are responsive to all the things that happen in our community. Anyone who's looked at our social media pages, especially the high school social media page, has noticed that there's been a lot of athletics going on at the very beginning of the school year. And that's really because of the way our schedule is set up. Athletics starts in August, but it doesn't mean that other things aren't going on. They're just a little bit slower. And so as we transition into the school year, we'll see more posts about theater. They're starting auditions next week. There's a lot of things going on, but it's making sure that we're timely in our stories.
That's great. Thank you. I do also really love the transparency of all of it. It's refreshing to know at any point there could be someone showing up with a camera because of all the wonderful things that are happening.
I've embraced teachers taking photos and telling their own story because I can't be everywhere. And so it's everyone's responsibility really to share the story of the Bangor School Department. There's so many times where teachers do amazing things with our students and they see it firsthand. And so they can snap a picture, they can send it to me, and we can definitely put that message out. So the eyes and ears being shared is a great thing.
Thank you.
Ray, can you talk a little bit about what partnerships have been established that contribute to this campaign?
We had a great time talking to community partners and building those partnerships. We have some established partnerships that we're building upon. Some of those are CNL Aviation. They really support our students at the Dowdy School. They have added gardens to our schools. They support students at Thanksgiving by providing Thanksgiving baskets. At Christmas or in the holidays, they do Shop with a Cop. There's so many different things where they support our students at that school. But it's more than just that. There's the opportunities of the Bangor Youth Symphony Orchestra. They use our space, but at the same time, they educate some of our students who are in our orchestra classes at the high school. There's opportunities that they give us that enhance what's going on in the schools. There's many times where the orchestra will actually invite our students to performances, and they get in for free. And it's those types of partnerships that enhance what we're doing in the classroom. It enhances, the students' knowledge of what they're doing, but also it gets them excited about what they're doing and what they're learning, and they see themselves, as that artist who's performing on stage and is doing that solo on their own, and it really gives them that courage to do a little bit more in class.
That's great. And I think that all of these additional activities and events really support learning. And I think sometimes we forget that learning can happen even when we step outside of the classroom. It's certainly happening in the classroom, but when we step out, there are lots of opportunities to enhance our skills and deepen our learning. So thank you very much for the work you're doing around that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
So I'd just like to thank both of our guests for sharing their valuable insights today. It is really clear to me that we are working very closely together to foster that sense of belonging, and it truly is a community effort.
Absolutely. And it starts with all of us, educators, families, and community members. Together, we can create an environment where every student feels like they belong.
Thank you for tuning in to the Bangor School Department podcast. Join us next time as we continue to explore important topics that affect our students and community.
Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with others in our community. Until next time.